Charlie Chaplin stands outside Paramount Studios, reading the morning headlines that declare his career finished. "Chaplin, the has-been of Hollywood," screams the Los Angeles Times. At 53, the man who once commanded $1 million per film can't get a meeting with any major studio. What he does next doesn't just prove his critics wrong, it creates the most powerful film of his career and redefines what artistic relevance truly means. Hollywood, California, March 8, 1942, Sunday morning, 9:30. Charlie sits on a bench across from the Paramount gates, watching young actors hurry through security checkpoints. They're the new generation, handsome, American-born, untainted by the controversies that have made Charlie toxic to studio executives. The headlines aren't wrong. Charlie's last 3 films performed poorly at the box office. The Great Dictator, his 1940 satire of Hitler, earned critical acclaim but was banned in several countries, costing United Artists millions in international revenue. Modern Times confused audiences who expected either pure comedy or pure drama, not social commentary disguised as entertainment. Now it's 1942. America has entered World War II. Studios want patriotic films, war pictures, escapist entertainment that helps people forget about rationing and blackouts. They don't want political satire from a British immigrant who refuses to become an American citizen, who makes speeches about peace when the country needs fighters. Charlie's agent, Charles Feldman, terminated their relationship last month. His explanation was clinical. "Charlie, you're box office poison. Studios won't finance your films. Theaters won't book them. Critics call you irrelevant. I can't represent someone the industry considers finished." The morning paper includes a devastating review of Charlie's career by Hedda Hopper, Hollywood's most powerful gossip columnist. Charles Chaplin was once the world's greatest entertainer. The Little Tramp brought joy to millions during the dark days of World War I and the Depression. But that was yesterday. Today, audiences want Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, Gary Cooper and Jimmy Stewart. They want Americans telling American stories. Chaplin's time has passed. The industry has moved on, and frankly, so should he. Charlie folds the newspaper, walks to his car, and drives to his Beverly Hills mansion. The house he bought in 1928 when he was king of Hollywood, when his films earned more than any other entertainer in history. Now it feels like a monument to irrelevance. But in his study, surrounded by scripts and film reels from 30 years of movie making, Charlie makes a decision that will either end his career permanently or prove that true artists create their greatest work when everyone assumes they're finished. He opens his typewriter and begins writing the most ambitious script of his life. The story comes to him complete, as if it's been waiting years to be told. Henri Verdoux, a French bank clerk turned serial killer who murders wealthy widows to support his invalid child and wife. Not comedy, not pure drama, but something unprecedented. A philosophical thriller that questions the morality of killing, the nature of capitalism, and the hypocrisy of a world that condemns individual murder while celebrating mass warfare. Charlie knows exactly what he's creating: career suicide. A film about a sympathetic serial killer, starring a Hollywood has-been, financed independently because no studio will touch it, released during wartime when audiences want patriotic entertainment. It violates every rule of commercial filmmaking. He doesn't care. For 8 months, Charlie writes, rewrites, and refines Monsieur Verdoux. Not the tramp character that made him famous, but something entirely new. A sophisticated, intelligent, articulate villain who commits horrible acts for understandable reasons. A man who kills individuals to save his family while criticizing a society that kills millions to solve political problems. When the script is finished, Charlie attempts to pitch it to every major studio. The meetings are brief and brutal. "Charlie, we can't finance a film about a mass murderer. Audiences won't accept you as a killer instead of a comedian. The subject matter is too controversial for wartime. You're asking us to bet millions on a has-been playing a monster. Find a different project, something commercial. Charlie finances the film himself. $2 million of his own money, his entire liquid savings. If Monsieur Verdoux fails, he'll lose not just his career, but his fortune. Production begins in November 1942. Charlie directs, produces, writes the music, and stars. He hires Martha Ray, a popular comedian against type, as one of Verdoux's intended victims. The casting choices are deliberate provocations. Comedians playing dramatic roles, familiar faces in unfamiliar contexts. The film is completed in 6 months. Charlie screens it privately for a small group of Hollywood insiders. The reaction is immediate and polarized. Half the audience is fascinated by Charlie's transformation from beloved comedian to sophisticated performer. The other half is appalled by the subject matter and confused by the tone. Walter Winchell, the most influential entertainment columnist in America, writes, "Chaplin has lost his mind. Monsieur Verdoux is career suicide disguised as artistic statement. The man who once made the world laugh now expects us to sympathize with a serial killer. It's pretentious, disturbing, and completely uncommercial." But a few critics understand what Charlie attempted. James Agee in The Nation writes, "Chaplin has created something unprecedented in American cinema, a philosophical thriller that examines the moral complexity of survival in an immoral world. This is the work of an artist at the height of his powers, not a has-been seeking attention." Monsieur Verdoux premieres at the Broadway Theater in New York on April 11, 1947. The opening night audience includes critics, celebrities, and industry professionals who expect either a disaster or a comeback. During the press conference afterward, a journalist asks the question everyone wants answered. "Charlie, why did you risk your career on such controversial material?" Charlie's response becomes legendary. "I made Monsieur Verdoux because I refused to repeat myself until audiences stop caring. Better to fail attempting something new than succeed doing something old. The world has changed. War has revealed truths about human nature that comedy alone cannot address. I could have made another tramp film, earned easy money, satisfied expectations. Instead, I chose to evolve." Another reporter, "Do you regret abandoning comedy?" "I haven't abandoned anything. I've expanded. Verdoux kills people for money while governments kill people for ideology. One is called murder, the other is called war. If that's not the darkest comedy of all, I don't understand humor." The film receives mixed reviews but earns respect from serious critics. It doesn't achieve the commercial success of Charlie's earlier work, but it accomplishes something more valuable. It proves that Charlie Chaplin at 58 is a different artist than Charlie Chaplin at 28, and different doesn't mean diminished. More importantly, Monsieur Verdoux influences a generation of filmmakers. Directors like Orson Welles, Billy Wilder, and later Martin Scorsese study its moral ambiguity, its philosophical complexity, its willingness to make audiences uncomfortable. The film's failure at the box office becomes irrelevant within a decade. Film scholars recognize it as Charlie's most mature work, his most intellectually rigorous exploration of character and theme. It proves that has-beens sometimes become legends when they stop trying to recapture past glory and start creating future classics. Charlie never makes another film in Hollywood, but Monsieur Verdoux establishes him as more than an entertainer. It reveals him as an artist willing to risk everything to say something meaningful. Years later, when young filmmakers ask Charlie about dealing with career setbacks, he gives them the same advice. "When critics call you finished, you have two choices: prove them right by giving up, or prove them wrong by creating your best work. I chose the harder path, not because I was brave, because I was desperate. Desperation eliminates fear. When you have nothing left to lose, you can finally take the risks that greatness requires." The Hollywood that called Charlie a has-been in 1942 eventually acknowledged Monsieur Verdoux as ahead of its time. Film schools teach it as an example of artistic courage. Critics recognize it as the bridge between Charlie's popular entertainment and mature artistry. Charlie learned something valuable from his exile from commercial success. The most dangerous moment in any artist's career isn't failure. It's the fear of failure that prevents growth. When everyone expects you to repeat your greatest hits, the bravest thing you can do is create something completely different. Monsieur Verdoux didn't restore Charlie's commercial appeal. It did something better. It proved that artistic relevance isn't about giving audiences what they expect. It's about forcing them to think about things they'd rather ignore. The has-been who shocked everyone wasn't the man who fell from grace. It was the artist who used that fall as inspiration to create something unprecedented. Charlie Chaplin's comeback wasn't a return to past glory. It was a leap into future significance. When the world writes you off, you can either accept their verdict or write your own ending. Charlie chose to write, and in that writing he discovered that the most powerful position for an artist isn't the top of the mountain, it's the courage to climb a different mountain entirely. The critics were right about one thing: the Charlie Chaplin they knew was finished. What they didn't anticipate was who would emerge from those ashes, not a has-been seeking redemption, but an artist finally free to create without compromise.